Hi guys, I'm Adham Ziada,
I'm Salim Asmat.
I'm Ali Abu Talib.
and today we're gonna be talking in a podcast about self-reliance and about Emerson.
Okay, for the first question, how do you think Emerson enhances theme
Okay.
of self-reliance?
So Emerson enhances the theme of self-reliance and avoiding imitation in society through the use of hyperbole. Emerson mentions how when you listen to society's opinion, something very bad for you. This is when he used the hyperbole to mention how bad imitation is, by saying that imitation is suicide. Through the use of hyperbole, Emerson mentions how imitation to people is basically suicide due to thinking in this way. This revealed how imitation is a bad thing according to Emerson. Imitation is basically caring what society thinks of you. Emerson hates it so much that he mentioned that thinking in this way is basically suicide, and you should ignore what society is thinking. This enhanced the theme of ignoring society, which isn't only seen from Emerson, but it is shown from his life. Instead of thinking what people are thinking of him or how society views him, Emerson ignored the thoughts of people and ignored the thoughts of society and left the ministry to follow his passion, which is writing, which shows that the theme of ignoring society's thoughts was complied in Emerson's life, which is why he mentioned that imitation is like suicide. Emerson strengthens the theme of relying on yourself and staying away from imitation by using hyperbole.
I personally agree with your point and stand in line with your point, and think your choice of evidence fits really well. And Emerson proved his point in many ways, and one of these points are that Emerson said is if you just follow your place in society, you are predictable and do nothing new. To analyze this piece of evidence, this supports the idea of not ignoring society. The particular reason for this circumstance is it says that not following your place in society can make you do nothing new to follow your dreams. It also ignores society to follow his dream in writing in Europe, and neglecting or ignoring society will make it harder for Emerson to pursue his dream in writing. To show the world as an aggressive agent when ignoring society in general.
In addition to Ali's point, Emerson uses exaggeration to describe how people's imitation is essentially death, since they think it's that way. So the evidence that helps support that is if you just follow your place in society, you are predictable and do nothing new, which was in Edwards, page 3. To analyze the piece of evidence, it reinforces the idea of society not being ignored, and it also neglects society in order to pursue his ambition of being a writer. To analyze it even further, it upholds the concept of not neglecting society, which is the cause of this situation. It claims that if you don't follow your place in society, you would have nothing new to pursue your aspirations.
Salim, I agree with your point. I think your evidence backed up Emerson's point very well. But to add also on that, Emerson also used irony as a way to prove his point. And the evidence for this is that Emerson proved his point about self-reliance by mentioning how self-reliance is its aversion. He basically is talking about how self-reliance is being the opposite of conformity. To analyze this piece of evidence, through the use of irony, Emerson supported his idea of not following conformity and not following society, which is basically following what you like and being yourself instead of following what society wants from you and following what society expects from you as an individual. Another part of analyzing this evidence is that this revealed how Emerson supported his point by saying that self-reliance is basically the exact opposite of conformity, and the particular reason for the circumstance is relying on yourself, or basically self-reliance is the opposite of relying on others' opinions, which is the way that Emerson wanted to expose his writing and wanted to show people what he liked and not following society. To analyze this even further, this also enhanced the theme of relying on oneself and not relying on other people's opinions, and the particular reason for the circumstance is that other people's opinion won't get you anywhere. This is why Emerson enhanced his theme of not following other people in society and being yourself.
Another question or claim to add on is how does Emerson express how opinions affect people? Emerson shows how the opinions of people affect men in the world through the use of simile. Piece of evidence that is good to support my claim is that would sink like darts into ear of men, which can be found in paragraph 5 in Emerson paragraph 5. To analyze this piece of evidence through the use of simile, when Emerson mentioned how opinions heard by men about them in a society sink like darts in their ears and put them in fear. This may reveal how men are affected when they hear other people's opinions about them. Basically, opinions are like darts, and these darts are sharp and sink easily in anything soft, which is the same as how the opinions sink in men's ears, scarring them about doing what they like, and caring about these opinions puts them in fear. This connects to the outside world, in which if people is doing something, if someone is doing something they like or something they are passionate about, like a dream or anything like that, and suddenly hears that society thinks of him, what society thinks of him, which can be either be good or bad, he will never forget what they said, what society had said about him, and this will put him in fear of doing what he likes, and will affect his future due to listening to opinions of society of how they think of him, which can make him feel less encouraged. So the main goal from the author is to let this not affect you and ignore and make you ignore the opinions of society.
Ali, I agree with your point, as you provide all the evidence needed to support your claim. For my claim, I believe that Edwards believes that being misunderstood is good, and the evidence that helps support this claim was that in Edwards page 14, Edwards stated that Pythagoras was misunderstood, and Socrates and Jesus. To analyze this piece of evidence from Edwards' book, For the first level of analysis, I would say that Edwards uses a hypothetical question to demonstrate how even great individuals may be misinterpreted, to enhance your understanding about this particular this actively demonstrates Edwards' thoughts on how people are misunderstood. He believes that in order to be great, individuals must first be misunderstood, as only great people will comprehend what you're trying to say. To enhance your understanding even more and to analyze deeper, this exemplifies Edwards' attitude towards society, and it also shows how he believed that you shouldn't follow society if you have a strong desire to do so. He, like many other greats, was misunderstood, yet they still chose their ideals above society, and great people around the world have been misunderstood as people that have a smaller brain capacity, or they think in a different way. They aren't smart or bright enough to comprehend what the great people are trying to say, as it is beyond their beyond their capacity of understanding. That's what Edwards is trying to say, and that analyzes the evidence that has been provided.
Hi guys, I'm Adham, and I want to give you a real life situation about Salim's point. About the point of great people being misunderstood. This happened once when the father of Western philosophy, Socrates, started to convince many people to think for themselves, and convinced many people to start questioning the existing order, which for many people it was something good, and for him it was also something good. But instead, the government thought of him as a threat instead of something good. So he was misunderstood by the government and executed. This actively demonstrates that the government misunderstood Socrates. Thank you.
I agree with what you're saying, Adam. This is a very good example of real life situation that can help the claim. Another real life situation that I found is that Galileo, who was an Italian scientist who revolutionized our understanding of the world, supporting the work of Copernicus, who's another famous Italian scientist, who claimed the Earth revolved around the sun rather than the other way around. Galileo's theories were controversial, and he was considered a heretic. So Copernicus, the Italian scientist, the other one, said that that Earth revolved around the sun rather than the sun around the Earth. So which is what Galileo said. So this is a misunderstanding from Galileo's part.
Yes, Ali, that's true. A real life situation I would also like to provide was Leonardo da Vinci. So Leonardo da Vinci was a Renaissance painter. Was many years, if not centuries, ahead of his time. He was greatly misunderstood by the people of his time, and had thought that he was a psychopath, while in fact he was an artistic and polymath genius. Bye guys, this was Salim with my part of the podcast.
Bye guys, this was Ali. Thank you for listening to our podcast.
Bye guys, this was Adham, and thank you for listening to my part in the podcast, and thank you for listening to the podcast overall. Bye guys.
Bye.
Bye.